Hey guys, LevelCap here, and welcome to another episode of This Week in Gaming, the new show where we cover all things FPS. Battlefield 1 Premium Pass owners now have full access to the game's first expansion, They Shall Not Pass. The DLC includes 4 new maps, 6 new weapons, and the new Frontlines game mode. A big patch also launched alongside the DLC with a ton of small tweaks and changes to balance of grenades, medic rifles, and more. People that haven't bought a Battlefield 1 Premium Pass will be able to purchase the DLC by itself in a couple of weeks for $15. I put out a video on the DLC's launch day, so if you want the full details as well as my general impressions of They Shall Not Pass, be sure to check that video out. As for the patch, people without the DLC have a few things worth checking out. First off is the scrap exchange. It allows players to buy skins from a selection of 3 or so skins that change after a set amount of time. It can include everything from weapons and vehicle skins to puzzle pieces for legendary melee weapons. The patch also enabled players without DLC to spectate servers running it. I'm not sure how big of a deal this is for you guys, but the people that don't watch Battlefield 1 content online, it might be useful. Being able to check out DLC for a game that you buy is important, and it just makes it easier for Battlefield 1 players to see what they'd get if they actually purchased the DLC. The patch also reduced the fog effect on Giant's Shadow. The Battlefield 1 community has been pretty vocal regarding the fog and its effect on gameplay of Giant's Shadow, so it's nice to see DICE making a change. It seems like DICE might have made it extra thick initially to give players a chance while running across the wide open areas of the map. Whatever the reason, it's easier to see through now, giving snipers and vehicles more freedom in how they engage enemy players. Battlefield 4 also got a big update this week that overhauls the game's user interface. Basically, DICE took Battlefield 1's main menu and added it to Battlefield 4, which used to rely on Battlelog. Not having to use a web browser to find a match is a welcome improvement to the game. Even at the incredibly late stage of Battlefield 4, there are still plenty of players playing it now and who will probably enjoy an in-game browser. CSGO got a big surprise update this week that introduced a new Valve-made map, Canals. Inspired by Venice, Italy, Canals is very different from the established maps in CSGO. It features huge open areas, tightly interconnected hallways, and bomb sites located in areas that wouldn't be typical of other maps. The CSGO community generally agrees that Canals needs some work before it's viable for competitive gameplay. That said, it's a good-looking map and lends itself to some intense casual matches. I'm sure Valve will be making lots of adjustments to the map over time, especially considering people have already found ways of getting out of bounds on it. The update also introduced 17 new community skins in the Spectrum case. Origin Access members can now play the upcoming sci-fi shooter Mass Effect Andromeda a few days before its release worldwide. The early access playtime is limited to 10 hours though, so getting deep in the game isn't really possible. Early reviews have been very mixed, most of them criticizing the game for recycling ideas from the original trilogy. That said, all the reviews are based on the first few hours of the game and don't really represent it as a whole. BioWare also released a trailer going over Andromeda's multiplayer. It launches with 5 maps and 25 different characters to play. Future DLC for the multiplayer will be free for all players. It includes new weapons, maps, characters, and more. Based on footage and early reviews, it sounds like Andromeda's multiplayer is a refinement of Mass Effect 3 with mostly the same core mechanics. The characters in Andromeda are much more nimble though, so gameplay itself features a faster, more chaotic pace than previous games. Impressions of the upcoming old-school arena shooter QUAKE Champions sounds like id stayed true to the franchise's core gameplay, which also updated it a little bit for modern gamers. While Doom and the Alpha of Unreal both feature loadout systems, QUAKE Champions maintains the old-school system of picking up guns placed throughout the map. But unlike previous QUAKE games, Champions features different classes that have unique abilities and stats. That said, all the classes are intended to be somewhat equal and can use any weapon. Their abilities are also fairly basic and aren't anything like the super powerful ultimates that you might expect in games like Overwatch. Sign-ups for the closed beta of QUAKE Champions are now live, so if you want to get in on the action when it launches, be sure to hit the link in the description. Overwatch's latest hero, Orisa, will be making her way to all platforms on Tuesday the 21st. She is currently playable on PC as part of the PTR. Orisa is similar to Reinhardt, but is more effective at medium range thanks to her laser gun. Her abilities are focused on buffing teammates and keeping enemies at bay. Overall, Orisa seems like a pretty well-balanced addition to Overwatch's roster. She seems to be a great starter character for people new to Overwatch, but she won't be blasting through teams with ease. Blizzard is also continuing to fight cheaters and have announced an $8.5 million lawsuit against German-based cheat developer Bossland. The lawsuit is too new to make an educated guess about the outcome yet, but just by filing, they're dealing a huge blow to cheaters. Just the threat of being sued by a company with pockets as deep as Blizzard is sure to put cheat devs on edge. Riot Games was recently awarded $10 million from another cheat developer who made scripts, cheats, and exploits for League of Legends. So it seems like cheaters are about to face some serious backlash from multiple companies. South Korea already has actual laws in place to try and prevent cheating, and I have a feeling that more countries are going to start taking this matter much more seriously, to the point where cheating itself and making cheats will become an actual crime. Cliffy B's arena shooter Lawbreakers is having a closed beta right now that ends on the 19th. Players can sign up via the official website for the game, though acceptance to the beta isn't guaranteed. The beta introduces new characters and the Turf War game mode. It's a domination-style game mode where capturing objectives gives you a point. The first team to 13 points wins the match. Capturing all 3 points locks them for 30 seconds. Once the 30 seconds passes, the enemy team can capture them back. Mechanically, it doesn't look like much has changed from the alpha, but the new characters add some diversity to the gameplay. The military sim game Squad is getting an update soon to version 9, and it brings a ton of new content to the game. The update adds a motorcycle and a bunch of other really cool vehicles, including many heavily armored vehicles with some pretty big cannons on them. Forward operating bases have been updated to be more dynamic. FOB radios are no longer spawn points. Instead, players have to construct HABs, which are basically small bunkers near FOB radios to enable them as spawn points. HABs can be constructed anywhere on the map with enough room for them and provide protection from enemy fire when you actually spawn. 2 of the squad maps have also been overhauled to make them larger and accommodate vehicles better. Gorodok has been expanded to make it another 4K map. The patch list is pretty extensive, and if you want to read over all the details, I'll leave a link in the description. No release date for Alpha version 9 has been announced, but expect it in the next few weeks. System Shock 3 is still happening. The publisher of Payday 2, Starbreeze, announced that they're putting $12 million towards the development of the long-awaited sequel to the 1999's System Shock 2. The dev team for the upcoming game includes legendary dev Warren Spector and other people who worked with the first 2 games. Starbreeze says the game is very early on in development, so there's no firm release window or schedule to be announced yet. Fans of the franchise were delighted when a remake of the first System Shock was successfully funded on Kickstarter. The 2 projects are being made by separate developers and won't share anything aside from the voice actors and the franchise's name. Both games are coming to consoles in addition to PC. And speaking of remakes, Night Drive Studios published a remaster of the classic FPS TUROK 2 this week. The remaster features enhanced graphics, improved AI, new gameplay mechanics, multiplayer, and the ability to save or load at any time. Microsoft's Project Scorpio had some new rumors leak that hint at a possible 4K 60 FPS game DVR. The mid-generation console refresh is intended to outperform the PS4 Pro, which currently only captures gameplay footage at 1080p 60 FPS. Firm details regarding Project Scorpio are expected to release as part of Microsoft's E3 event on June 11th. So far, they've been very cryptic regarding the actual hardware. All we know is it will run games in 4K and supports all current Xbox One titles. Nintendo has also announced they're doubling the production of the Switch from 8 million units to 16 million units for 2017. The production increase comes hot on the heels of Nintendo announcing the Switch is their fastest selling console ever. Selling more than 1.5 million units in the first week of release, the Switch has been wildly successful. AMD recently went after Intel's Core i7 line of premium CPUs with their Ryzen 7 desktop CPUs. Now they're going after Intel's more budget-conscious Core i5 CPU line. The Ryzen 5 will compete directly with the Core i5 line in both performance and price. AMD's goal with Ryzen 5 is to offer more power at the same price point, instead of offering similar performance at a reduced cost like they did with Ryzen 7. Reviews of AMD's new CPU have been generally positive. Intel has yet to announce any direct competition for Ryzen, but it is for sure a wake-up call. Anyway, that wraps it up for today's episode of This Week in Gaming. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. This is Level Cap, signing off.